because I was just talking about how my 41st birthday is this coming Thursday, 27th of April 2017, but up until 3 p.m. it is still Wednesday, 26th of April 2017 in the USA. That's across the midsection of the USA. Minnesota is 15 hours behind New South Wales, where I live, and that also includes Texas. And that date, my birthday, is 13 days after Good Friday, so 26th of April is 12 days after Good Friday. And what I'm thinking is something's going to happen with the weather, and the number of days, and I mean a substantial major weather event, and the number of days after Good Friday is going to reflect how old Jesus or Josh was when he died. And that's just a feeling I've got, and that's what's basically led me to make this prediction. But there's a lot of ideas have come to me, which I think have come from Jacob Werteling and Nathan Breeze. It certainly feels that way. 41, by the way, is the value, if you add up the word good or the word brat, they both have a value of 41. Just the letters in those words, according to their place in the alphabet, add up to 41. And the prophecy is actually for Monday, 1st of May in Australia. And up until 3 p.m. it will still be Sunday, the 30th of April in the United States. And that is 16 or 17 days after Good Friday, which obviously is how old I think Josh may have been. It's my best guess. And in the same way that Easter Sunday is on the third day, he rose again from the dead. So they say, well, the 1st of May is actually the 18th day, using that same logic. So will there be a sign in the weather on Thursday, 27th of April, my birthday, which is Wednesday in America, to do with Jayton's prophecy? Jayton, the name Jayton, is a merging of names, Jesus or Josh and Satan, or Jacob and Nathan. And their prophecies for Sunday, 30th of April, and Monday, 1st of May, depending where you live and what the time is. So that's it. That's basically my thinking. This is definitely, I can feel the inspiration of Jacob and Nathan in this prediction. And it's probably a good time to have a look at an article that was published by the American Weather Channel just a couple of days ago on the 23rd, Sunday the 23rd of March. Oh no, March, not April. So a little over a month ago this was published. Here's why there's more than one type of tornado. And it's quite an interesting little video. I'll play it now.
Really awesome animation I want to show you today on the Ari effect. I hope you think it's as cool as I do, because this is a legit simulation of a tornado, and it's done by the guys over at NCAR, specifically a scientist named George Bryan. These guys have come up with a couple different simulations. They've got a low swirl, a medium swirl, and a high swirl tornado. We're looking at the high swirl right now, so this is a simulation of a tornado with wind over 200 miles an hour, one of the strongest tornadoes. So one thing you notice, you see these purple colors, this is where the wind is the strongest in the tornado, and even the simulator is picking up on this whole multiple vortex effect. This is a very common thing that you see in large violent tornadoes, is multiple vortices. You can see an example of it here in this tornado in Oklahoma a couple of weeks ago. Look at that, multiple vortices, and you don't often see them except right at the beginning of the tornado, because once the tornado really starts to get rolling, it picks up a lot of debris, and I can guarantee you in that tornado right there, there are very likely multiple vortices that are just destroying things. It's those sub-vortices that are the strongest part of the tornado.
So yeah.
Got a really awesome
Cool.
Uber, the world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles. Facebook, the
world's most controlling social media. So the story highlights there were several different names are used to describe tornadoes depending on their characteristics. Here is the answer to some of the different types of tornadoes that there are. There are many terms that meteorologists and storm chasers use to describe different types of tornadoes. You may have heard of a wedge tornado or a land spout, but what do they mean? So just having a look at those types of questions. A wedge tornado is a slang term used by meteorologists and storm spotters to describe a wide tornado. But not every large tornado is considered a wedge. In general, a wedge tornado should be at least as wide horizontally at the ground as it is tall vertically from the ground to the cloud base. That's the National Weather Service's definition. Many wedge tornadoes are violent, causing EF4 and EF5 damage, but not all of them are that strong. An example of a wedge tornado is the EF5 that struck Joplin, Missouri, and that was on Sunday the 22nd of May in 2011. And that one was catastrophic and killed a lot of people and destroyed a large part of the town. So there you have a photograph of a large wedge tornado, simply because it is so wide, shaped like a wedge. But sometimes they do have a true wedge shape. So a wedge tornado, about a mile wide, and this one was near Binga, Oklahoma, on May 22, 1981. So the same date as the Joplin tornado. And it produced F4 damage along its path. So that's using the old F4, the old rating system, before it became EF, the enhanced Fujita scale. Multi-vortex tornado, as the name implies, this tornado has multiple vortices rotating around a center of a larger tornado circulation. These so-called suction vortices are occasionally visible if the larger tornado circulation doesn't have too much debris to obscure them. The Storm Prediction Center says multi-vortex tornadoes are capable of causing narrow, short, extreme swathes of damage that sometimes arc through the tornado tracks. And yeah, it was just such a tornado. A tornado that struck El Reno, Oklahoma on May 31, 2013 is an example of this type of tornado and featured intense vortices within its larger circulation. Mobile Doppler radar measured winds of 200 miles per hour or greater associated with those vortices, illustrating how they can cause smaller areas of extreme damage. And in that case, a pioneering storm researcher and storm chaser, Tim Samaras, was killed in that tornado. He was also a pioneering lightning researcher, and he and his son and his colleague Carl Young all died when they were struck, and it was later found that they had actually been struck directly by one of those intense vortices as they were trying to leave the area. And that was the widest tornado ever recorded. So there's just an illustration showing a multi-vortex tornado. A rain-wrapped tornado. This type of tornado is obscured by heavy rainfall, and sometimes it's impossible to know if a twister is there unless verified by radar or other sources. Rain-wrapped tornadoes are associated with high precipitation, supercell thunderstorms, or can be embedded within squall lines, that is a line of intense thunderstorms. And they are the really dangerous ones because you just don't know they're coming, and they can also be, when they're in a squall line, they can be very fast moving. And, you know, that's an example of a rain-wrapped tornado. And you wouldn't really know it's there. You wouldn't know what's there. A rain-wrapped tornado near Tipton, Oklahoma. This was on May 20 in 1977. So I was just over 1 year old then. The existence of a tornado hidden behind the rain is verified in this photo by the power flash seen at the bottom of the image. So it's a good warning sign that there's a tornadoes when you start seeing power flashes. And in any urban area there will be power flashes when there's a tornado tearing through. And because it's so dark even during the day when you've got these big storms, you can quite clearly see the power flashes. Cone and stovepipe tornadoes. These are types of tornadoes. These two types of tornadoes are probably the most familiar and visually similar. The cone tornado is wider at the base of the clouds and narrower near where it touches the ground, which is how most people think of a tornado's appearance in a traditional sense. A stovepipe tornado is about as wide near the cloud base as it is along the ground. These are tall and narrow, just like a stovepipe, or just like a snake, or as one boy at my work was prone to comparing such a tornado shape to a doodle. And he also pointed something else out to me that's quite interesting, which is when a guy goes to the toilet to urinate, the stream actually rotates as it comes out. So I had never known that, but he was right. It actually does. And there's the more traditional type of tornado shape, a cone tornado in Wyoming on June 5, 2009. Photo by Sean Waugh. So yeah, a cone tornado. It's wider at the top than the ground. It's probably the most common overall, and the one that most people are familiar with. And a landspout tornado. A landspout is a tornado that does not develop from a supercell thunderstorm as a wedge or cone tornado would. Instead, they form when a developing, towering cumulus cloud occurs over any near-surface boundary of converging winds. In other words, the area of rotation originates near the surface rather than aloft. That rotating air is stretched vertically and eventually grows into a landspout. So it's more like a whirlwind than a true tornado. And waterspouts are usually formed the same way. And then you have a landspout near North Platte, Nebraska on May 22, again, May 22, 2004. And they're quite pretty compared to other types of tornadoes. But you can see the little vortex up the top there, which is pretty cool. And quite similar to a waterspout, really. A waterspout is also a type of tornado, is essentially a landspout over water. As described above, the source of spin for the development is near the surface rather than aloft. The warm waters surrounding Florida provide warmth and moisture for growing clouds that can commonly spawn waterspouts. Those waterspouts mostly stay over the open water as a hazard to mariners. When waterspouts form from thunderstorms, however, they can track onshore and produce damage. And that did happen in Australia back in 2013. There was several waterspouts came ashore around the Kiama area on the south coast. and that was associated with ex-tropical cyclone Olwen. And that was on the 24th, Sunday, the 24th of February, 2013. And I've talked about the boy Josh, whose birthday is this year on Monday, the 21st of August, which coincides with a total solar eclipse over the USA. Well, his younger brother, that event with the waterspouts that hit Kiama, and they were quite powerful. They were associated with severe thunderstorms that actually occurred at 3 a.m. on his 10th birthday. So that image there is a waterspout off the Florida Keys on 10th of September 1969. So there we have the number 69 again, keeping in mind that Jacob Werteling is from St. Joseph in Minnesota. Boy Jake has a value of 69, and there are 69 days between Jake's birthday on 17th of February and my birthday on 27th of April. And that number just keeps coming up again and again. So, rope tornado. Sometimes you'll hear meteorologists or storm spotters say the tornado is roping out. This is a reference to a tornado ending its life cycle, where it appears as a rope-like appendage hanging from the cloud base. Though the so-called rope tornado may appear narrow and more elongated horizontally than earlier in its life cycle, it's still capable of significant damage on the ground until it ends. Once the tornado has dissipated, a new twister could develop from the same supercell thunderstorm, should a new area of rotation form. And large supercells often produce multiple tornadoes, often sequentially, one after another. So there's an illustration of a rope tornado. A tornado in its rope stage over the plains in May 2008. It's quite a cool picture. Pretty close to some wind turbines there. Gee, that would make Tony Abbott very happy if those wind turbines were to be knocked over. Not sure why, but Australia's former Prime Minister really does not like those things at all. Wind turbines, I mean. And a gustnado. Having the nado in gustnado would suggest this is a type of tornado, but it's not. A gustnado is a small and typically weak area of spin on the leading edge of a thunderstorm outflow. Since gustnados are not connected to any cloud base, they are not considered tornadoes. They are sometimes reported as tornadoes given their appearance on the ground. Gustnados can also cause minor damage, but nothing compared to a tornado. And do they have a picture of a gustnado? Only if you go to the link. So there's something pretty amazing, which is a corn stalk is driven into a truck's radiator from an EF3 tornado near Pampa, Texas on November 16, 2017. So it's actually driven a corn stalk into the metal radiator. Shows you the power of these things and why you really do not want to be in them. But of course, sometimes you don't have much of a say. One of the hardest things to avoid is tornadoes. And in one of my earlier videos I was saying that most people who die in natural disasters die in accidents afterwards. Well, it's not necessarily true. Most people killed by tornadoes tend to be killed in the event, and the same is true when it comes to storm surges with hurricanes. Aftermath of a tornado that destroyed parts of Moore, Oklahoma, is seen on Tuesday, May 21, 2013. So that tornado was the day before on the Monday. the 20th of May. So yeah, that was a day after the tornado moved through the town. And you could just see the piece of wood there slammed through the windscreen. I mean, the damage from tornadoes of that strength, and I'm pretty sure that was an EF 4 or 5, it's just phenomenal. So here we have hail headstones overturned in the Moore Cemetery after it was damaged by that same tornado on Monday 20th of May 2013. Again, I think this is a school bus is lodged in a home where it came to rest after being tossed by yesterday's tornado. And of course this is going back some time. This is on March 3, 2012 in Henryville, Indiana. So yeah, you really wouldn't want to be in the bus or in the house, would you? Just incredible power that these things have. Destructive power. A roof of a building lies in the middle of a road after a November 17, 2013 tornado in Kokomo, Indiana. So it's just the roof of a building left bang in the middle of the road. And you just cannot imagine if you're in the attic of that house at the time or driving down the road. Bad day. Here we have pretty much unrecognizable remnants of a vehicle. What remains of a truck is wrapped around a power pole in Grady County, Oklahoma, after a May 3, 1999 tornado. So obviously unsurvivable when it's like that. And that would probably be an EF5 to do that kind of damage. Here we have a record. It's just been, yeah, if that hit you, you'd be dead. You'd be sliced. A 33 revolution per minute record was carved into this telephone pole by a tornado. So, you know, pretty mundane objects can become lethal projectiles in tornadoes. And when you hear stories of people being picked up by tornadoes and carried some distance and deposited and surviving, well, they're very, very lucky people, because if you come into contact with virtually any kind of debris, your chances of survival are virtually nil. The Holy Bible rests on a foundation where a house once stood in Greensburg, Kansas. So this was on May 9 in 2007. So yeah, the Bible, churches are not immune. Not a good day there. In spring outbreaks, it can snow the day after a tornado. Here, a woman clears out records and other items from the Morgan County Home Health Agency. The tornado that hit West Liberty on March 2, 2012 tore off the roof and back walls of the clinic. So yeah, they have tornado de-roofing a building and then snow coming in shortly afterwards. And that's because tornadoes are often associated with cold fronts. This tree was impaled by a shovel during the St. Louis tornado of May 27 in 1896. So yeah, there you have it. Just shows you the immense speed at which things are travelling. And that's why tornadoes are definitely not something you want to be in. But there was a little boy named Cade Fiddler who was sucked out of a cool room or a freezer room by the Joplin tornado, and he was carried quite some distance and ended up surviving. Did have severe injuries, but he didn't die. Here a woman walks down Black Hills Trail Road in Pilger, Nebraska on Monday, June 16, 2014. So the Pilger, Nebraska tornado, that was actually the twin tornadoes that you may remember seeing footage of. And they did a lot of damage. And a couple of people were also killed in that event. A water tower was toppled in La Plata, Maryland by an F4 tornado on April 28, 2002. So it was one day after my birthday. Or actually it was on my birthday, because my birthday's... No, it wasn't. It would be the day earlier than that if it was on my birthday, or 2 days earlier. And here we have a transmission tower near Huntsville, Alabama, bent by the April 27, 2011 super outbreak. So that one was on my birthday, although not exactly from my point of view, because I'm 15 hours behind. And there were similar scenes in Australia, in South Australia not so long ago, from tornadoes that were ranked EF3. The radom and radar from Huntsville, Alabama was gone from its tower, and the nearby Bethel Church of Christ was destroyed by a tornado on April 27, 2011. So that was a church a few hours earlier. It's kind of strange how the part of America that is most prone to tornadoes is also the most traditionally religious part of America. So there are a lot of churches, and churches have often been destroyed by tornadoes. The ground was scoured by up to a depth of 2 feet by an EF5 tornado in Smithville, Mississippi. And this again was in the super outbreak of April 27, 2011. And yeah, to literally scour or plow or rip or tear the ground like that is just phenomenal power. So here you have a section of pavement that was scoured out by the same tornado, but this was in Neshoba and Camper counties in Mississippi. The remains of a Ford Explorer in Smithville, Mississippi, same tornado outbreak, April 27, 2011. That tornado hurled the USV about half a mile into the town's water tower, and it continued on for another quarter of a mile until impact. So no chance of surviving if you're in that whatsoever. And here you have a slab of home is largely wiped clean by a tornado in Jackson County, Alabama. Again, the same tornado outbreak from April 27, 2011. A section of the home staircase was left behind, so just, yeah, total chunks, big chunks of, no matter how heavy things are in a tornado, they become mobile. Tornadoes of EF3 intensity or stronger may strip the bark off trees. Can strip the bark off trees that can still remain standing. In this case, it was an EF5 tornado, the one at El Reno. A different one on May 24, 2011. And remains of a school bus blown across Highway 75 in Rainsville, Alabama, following an EF5 tornado, again on April 27, 2011. Just phenomenal damage from that outbreak. Here we have a semi-trailer is tossed by a tornado on the south side of Dallas, Texas on 3rd of April 2012. Some box trailers were lifted up to 180 feet in the air. So that's a semi-trailer going through the air inside a tornado. An impaled tire. Tire punctured by a board, sits upside down after a strong tornado went through the area again, April 27. And it's the second time in 3 years. This was on April 28, 2014 in Vilonia, Arkansas. So 3 years apart, 2 tornadoes of the same intensity. And finally, Kapow. Remains of a large military aircraft after a tornado on March 25, 1948 at an Air Force base in Oklahoma. So, yeah, just incredible. And Good Friday was actually on March 25 in 2015. 2014 or 15. And today, being Anzac Day, it's 25th of April. Tuesday, 25th of April, 2017. So that was the first time that an accurate forecast had been made for a tornado. And that's that.